Let's go, Ridernation.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Yeah, here we go. It's a feeling now. Hit 'em high, hit 'em low, 'cause we're dealing now. Everybody's giving it all they got, 'cause we're ready.
This is the Piffles podcast, your Saskatchewan Rough Riders fan podcast. Thanks for joining us here this week. It's a trying time for us here at the Piffles podcast because we can barely get this show on the go with our IT department. We might need a new IT support system to get this thing going.
It's well deserved. That was an absolute disaster.
How many times did it take for you to reboot and get back in here, Steve?
Yes, that many.
Just about as long as it took Taylor Swift to finally find love, guys. Love is in the air.
I was hoping I could go an hour without seeing something on that. So thanks a lot, Greg. I appreciate that.
Hey, you can give the people what they want, and apparently it's a more Kelsey and more Swift.
I mean, good for them. I don't care. They don't care about me. I don't care about them. That said, I like them. Anyway, this is not you. They'll probably talk about that on the Bombers podcast all this week about how Travis Kelce isn't going to get Zach Collaros invited to the wedding.
Oh yeah, they're gonna drag Zach into the Ed Tate's gonna drag Zach into the old room there, and they'll talk about it.
Anyway, we're here to talk Riders. This is the Piffles podcast. As mentioned, you can give us a follow on social media. You know where to find us. I'm at Real Alex D.
I'm a disaster.
He's not, but yeah, you can find him there too, I suppose. And as always, I do not need nor want your pity follows at Greg on Sports.
Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcasts, watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. We appreciate it. Piffles podcast, of course, is brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sask Drive in Regina. We're also proud to be sponsored by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's Tactical Laser Tag Experience, Bigfoot Vodka, and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas. We'll get to the Riders in a little bit here, but just want to say right off the bat, this show is dedicated out to 2013 Grey Cup champion, former scout in the CFL with the Riders director of player personnel, Craig Smith, passed away on the weekend after a lengthy fight with cancer, just 69 years old. So our condolences, obviously, to his family, friends, colleagues, everybody that knew him, the entire Rough Rider organization. So show goes out to him this week.
F cancer, man.
Yep. So let's get to it. Let's do the show for him. This is the opening kickoff. So full disclosure, Greg, you have not seen the game.
I have not watched it. Well, sorry. I shouldn't say I haven't watched a minute of this game. This week was my guys' golf trip and football draft for the NFL. So we were actually playing the Willows when this course happened, and TSN fixed your app. We tried watching the game on the golf cart, and that thing would not run more than 10 seconds without freezing up.
So
we switched over.
You didn't watch this?
Didn't watch it.
You.
I listened to what I could. Of course, we then turned on the 620 app, listened to Dave and Luke. I actually hit a very good shot when we got a touchdown. It was really funny. But other than that, yeah, it was, from what I heard, did not sound like a fun second half anyway. And coincidentally, that's when I fell out of the contention to win the jackets with my partner.
I was going to ask, after that good shot, did it just go straight downhill from there?
We were actually in contentions, because we also have jackets for the winning team. Like it's the Masters where the previous winners give jackets to this year's winners. I'll send you guys the pictures actually, because they're stylish jackets. They're from Temu. They're amazing.
Oh God!
And
don't get hats with S's on them from Temu. I'll just say that.
Yeah,
$6, great price. Hat, not great.
Yeah, so as we came around the turn, we quickly fell out of contention, which sounds like a good metaphor for how this game went.
Well, yeah, we won't dwell on it too much, but we are going to talk about it. So we found out to start the game that Marcus Sales was going to be out. He turned into a game time decision the day of, and just after the flight to Calgary. So he was out with an illness. Put Nelson Lacombo at corner. Then he got hurt in this game. So it ended up being Jackson Ford at safety. Kerfala Exume ended up playing corner after Lacombo got hurt. And when we've talked about the zone defense before, but when you're not getting any kind of pressure on the quarterback, which is exactly what happened in this game again against the Stamps, Vernon Adams picked apart that secondary, especially in the third quarter and early fourth. So it is what it is, I guess. Hopefully Sales is back this week. Obviously no practices yet as we record this, but sounds like it was just an illness, so he should be good to go. But I'm sure hoping that Exume, he can stick to special teams.
I was going to say
pass breakup, but yeah.
As from what I heard, as a starting cornerback in this league, Exume is a very good special teamer. Is basically how it was described to me. What's it with these games against the Stamps? Like we were, our secondary was wasn't decimated, but Alford was in because was Sales out that game too?
No, that was the game Campbell was out.
Campbell was out. That's what it was. So yeah, what is it with our DBs going down when we're playing Calgary? Like it needs to be all hands on deck against that receiving core with VA in the backfield. And yeah, I know when I heard Sales was out and Lacombo moved over, and then I heard Lacombo was out, I was like, oh boy.
Well, I was looking forward to that because I mean, lots of people have been clamoring for Lacombo to.
I have been
starting safety.
I've been saying that for all year.
Put him to corner and to see what Jackson Ford could do. I thought Jackson Ford was okay. Obviously, a learning curve for him with the start there. He did show some physicality, which is something that we haven't really seen a lot of from Nelson Lacombo. So I did like that.
Oh, and that's what
that was the
wanted.
biggest.
Go ahead.
That was the biggest thing we've needed from that position since Nelson Lacombo took over. Is there was absolutely no fear of anybody coming over the middle. And the one thing I liked out of Jackson Ford was he was out there hitting guys. He was making plays. He still has a ton to learn to be a starting safety in this league, but at least he was making things happen. And it seemed like he was around the ball a lot more than we've come to expect from Nelson Lacombo.
But you also got to think from a defensive backfield, like they move in tandem, like they move as a group. Yeah. And so when you lose your starting cornerback and you move your safety to corner and then you lose him, bring in another backup, that communication, that especially on a zone defense, at that point, if I was Mace, I'm like ripping up the zones and go, you cover that guy, this guy comes through, you're taking it.
Yeah.
Just man up at that point, because you had to think it just wasn't going to work well because these guys were not in their usual positions or in positions that they were in for the first time ever.
Well, the first half of that game, that first half had a lot to drink. I'll say that. It was back and forth turnovers. It was a wild first half, but it started with the Riders' opening drive. And I said last week, I hoped that the Riders could get the ball first, march down the field, score some points, and come out against a team that was just on a bye week, hopefully catch them, flat to start the game. We saw how flat the Riders have come out their two games in the first quarter following their bye weeks. It looked good until Keyshawn Johnson dropped a touchdown ball while he was wide open in the end zone. And then immediately after, Brett Lauther proceeded to miss a 28-yard field goal. So my question to you guys, was that game over before it even began?
That stretch there absolutely flipped the game on its side, changed the momentum, and I agree. I do think so. I think that the energy was gone from that team, and you saw it the rest of that first quarter. They had nothing, absolutely nothing. And we won't even begin to talk about the second half yet. But for 3 out of the 4 quarters of that game, they were non-existent. And it started with Keyshawn Johnson's pan hands and Lauther's miss. And at least Johnson made up for it a couple of drives later. We talked about it on the post-game show. You knew he would bounce back, but there was no faith that Brett Lauther would ever bounce back. And that's a concern. And it's been a concern for months. And it will continue to be a concern until either he flips the script and learns how to kick again, or he's replaced.
Well, Thursday, before I went up to Saskatoon, I was on the sports cage, and Arash was on, and he had a bet, because I even said I have no faith in Lauther right now. And of course, Arash being a good Maritimer, he had Lauther's back, and he bet me that he had Lauther missing kicks at 1.5, and I told him I'm taking the over. Well, when you only had 2 chances to kick the ball, it's really hard to hit that 1.5. I was in good shape after his first kick.
Probably the only person in Saskatchewan saying that. Yeah, it was the any kind of momentum to start the game was gone. They did find some in the second quarter. Obviously, Keyshawn Johnson had that big 62-yard catch and run. Got the touchdown with Dante Myers as well too. So they did, get things going. But then that second half happened. And so the Riders went into the half with the lead. It was 15-14, battled back from down 14-2 to take the lead going into the second half. What happened in the third, Steve? For this team to just come out flat?
They came out at halftime like I do tech support, horribly, and it took forever. That was, I don't even have the words for that. They had nothing to offer in that second half. Offensively, defensively, that middle was wide open nonstop in that third quarter. And you think that was to, prevent Dedrick Mills from running the ball, but it seemed like every time he touched the ball, he was making things happen. So it was just across the board. It was, there was nothing out of halftime. They whatever Corey May said at halftime fell on deaf ears.
Unless he told them just blow this game, let's get to Labor Day. But other than that, I don't know what else you could tell. Because even the offensive line, which has been fairly good, based on the call of Dave and Luke, it sounded like they were lost out there. Brammer and Yoshi had a really bad miscommunication that caused Harris to get popped. That was one of the things I heard.
3-man rush.
And just a rush right between the two of them where they both looked in opposite directions, thinking the other guy had the one guy rushing, and
nope.
Oh. Yeah, Trevor Harris was mad after that one, and rightfully so. That can't happen.
The junior Murtaugh did, or what?
That. Oh,
pretty much.
No,
yep. Not.
It's like they forgot what they were supposed to be doing. They didn't ole. They each went in opposite directions and went to cover somebody that wasn't there, and left him to. I can't remember who it was with the Stamps, but he just went in full speed without a single hesitation and popped Trevor Harris.
And that seemed like that was the theme in the second half. It was much like the first game against the Stamps. It was in the trenches. The Riders got dominated. Offensive line for the Riders could not stop the Stamps D-line. Now, Stamps have a very solid D-line. They're a very physical team, and we just can't stack up to them for whatever reason that is. I have no idea. They can play pretty well against literally everybody else that they've had so far this year. Can't do it against the Stamps. Same thing with the D-line. No pressure whatsoever on Vernon Adams. He had all the time in the world. And when we've talked about this defense, when you don't get pressure, that zone gets ripped apart. And that's exactly what happened. So, I mean, we won't dwell on this too much, but it causes just a bit of a jarring of concern. I'm not overly worried yet, but you're probably going to have to face Calgary in the playoffs at some point if you're the Riders. Both these games, they've gotten dominated on the line of scrimmage, and they've lost by this one was 17-14 before, so 31 points in 2 games. They've been outscored by the Stamps team, and this is a Stamps team that lost to Ottawa twice. but they beat Winnipeg 3 times. They beat the Riders twice. So they can elevate their game. They're the classic, what we've seen from the Riders in the early 2000s, playing to the level of your competition. And the Riders, for whatever reason, just can't match that intensity against these guys anyway. So a little bit of cause for concern, but I'm not overly worried yet. But it is something that they'll have to figure out later in the season, just protecting the quarterback and getting to the quarterback.
Well, and that's it. The Stamps are the kryptonite this year. Let's put it that way. But what it does show me, there is a cause for concern when playing against a team like Winnipeg is now you don't want the split now. Like before, if they would have split with the Stamps, you could split with the Bombers, and you're still sitting in a very good spot. I think they need to win both against the Bombers this week, like in these next 2 weeks. So yes, we got one with them later, but you can't let Calgary all of a sudden overtake you. You need to keep on pace to stay ahead of them.
Well, you look at what this game could have done for the Riders standing wise. At 9-1, they would have been 3 games clear of second place with 8 games to go. A split at that point would have been pretty much a lock on a home playoff game. Winnipeg would have had to sweep us to really have a sniff at a home game. And to come out so flat in all aspects of the game. And we saw Brett Lauther, his shank, Dre McRae fumbled another one. Our defense couldn't get pressure. The O-line looked like a, what do you call those things for past a sieve? It was just a colander. Yeah. They looked like all those things. And for all 3 phases to come out that flat gives you pause for concern going into the home stretch. Now with 8 games left, they've got a 1-game lead and a relatively tough schedule for 3 more weeks. It's that extra space would have been real nice right now.
The good news is we've seen they can play tough against good teams. Like they dominated the Ticats. The Ticats are a very good team as well. So it's just, I don't know if it's coaching or what it is. It's the Stamps have something on the Riders right now that the Riders definitely need to figure out before the playoffs. Because yes, unless a miracle happens, at some point you got to play the Stamps in that 1-game playoff.
So the Riders lose 32-15, dropping their record to an 8-2 record, which the sky is not falling. They're still 8-2. It's not like this is a bad team by any means. So I have seen some overreactions.
Yes.
It's that old Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, relax. It's 1 game here, and it was disappointing, especially just the overall effort level. But until it becomes a pattern, I'm not too worried about it. That's why this upcoming week against Winnipeg is so crucial, and not just because it's the Labor Day game, but just to get that psyche back with this team and just continue that on through the second half of the year. Roster news. Of course, this happened last Wednesday, the day after we record. So I know something's going to happen again tomorrow after we record this one. Campbell Fair, kicker, brought in. The Riders released offensive lineman Dre Doron to make room for him. Campbell Fair on the practice roster. Now, we have not seen a day of practice yet, so this is pure speculation. Does he play against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? Especially with Brett Lauther just missing a kick with Fair already on the roster?
No.
I think you're going to have to drag Lauther off of that roster kicking and screaming. I think this was more of a Gabbo, this ought to shut up those little SOBs. Like I honestly don't see them actually pulling Lauther off the roster.
Then why would you bother
unless he's injured? And I'm using air quotes on this one.
You can put him on the practice roster. You don't have to put him on an injured list. Do you think any team in the league is going to go after Brett Lauther?
No, I'm talking about this right now. This is about Brett's a good guy. Brett's a room guy. This is blah blah blah. This is we are past the X's and O's of football at this point.
Yeah,
Lauther's been absolutely terrible. We know it. They know it. Problem is, though, everyone loves Brett.
Yeah, I'm not saying cut him. Put him on the practice roster.
I understand what you're
gotta
saying, but
change something here.
they want to save face. This is all this is. Like, they're trying to find a way to do this and save face because they don't want to cut him.
Good PR does not win you football games.
I understand that. But there's no other excuse for this at this point. There's no other excuse. He's been absolutely brutal. The Cowboys go through a million kickers a season because Jerry Jones thinks it's going to win him an extra game or two. And we have a guy that's kicking like in the 60s. He literally was 0% this past week because he didn't.
You talked about the PR of it, but if you look at social media, there are still people defending Brett Lauther.
Yes.
And people, not just your average fans. Like, I saw Rod Peterson defending Brett Lauther still. You saw it was across the board. People blaming the holder on that one because the laces were out. It was a 28-yard kick.
Yep.
I don't care what direction the lace. I don't care if that football was sideways. It's 28 yards.
Yeah, you're a pro kicker. A 28-yarder is an automatic. That ball could be pinned down, point towards you. You still got to make that kick.
But if you look at it, you look at that. They're blaming the holder. The week before, they're blaming the wind. This is not a one-off situation at this point. We have hashed this out for 6 straight weeks because he's been terrible. And until he physically costs this team a game, which I firmly believe he cost us the game in Calgary. And I said it in the post game that miss completely changed the outlook of that football game. And it into the third quarter, when it was suddenly a 9-point game instead of a 7-point game, it's a completely different script. But until he physically costs us a game where we lose by 2 points and he missed a field goal, you're not going to see change. Corey Mace has made it clear he's sticking with his guy.
So you could have a defensive back who gets dusted for a touchdown every
100%.
single game,
100%.
beat every single game. We're cool to just cast him aside and say this guy's a bum. Yep. Why do we care so much about a freaking kicker? A guy who should be the most easily replaceable player on the team. You should be able to find somebody that can kick a ball. But yet I love Brett Lauther. I've said that before. I love the man. I think he's a fantastic human being, great person. I respect the fact that he had that scrum last week and he called himself the worst player in the CFL. The guy clearly owns it, and I have the utmost respect for that. And I really, really want this guy to turn things around because he can be a very good kicker. We saw that happen last year. I hope he can return to that, but this is all mental for him. And you can't fix that overnight. It's just not going to happen. Not now. And it's not like he had one bad game like last year where he missed 3 kicks and then turned it back around. He's missed kicks in 7 out of 10 games. He can seem to make all the extra points. He's only missed 1 this year, but he misses 35% of field goals. The leash that he's gotten is unbelievable to me. I've never seen anybody, especially a kicker, get this much leeway. Why? I don't understand it.
You're not wrong. Like,
ding.
Yeah, yeah. But it's ridiculous. Like, remember Rick Ankiel in the Major League Baseball got the yips. All of a sudden, he could not hit home plate. No matter what he did, he could not hit home plate. Wasn't he a lefty though?
Maybe that's why he got the leeway.
But the fact remains is it took a long time for them to, 1, take him out, and 2, for him to find his way back to the league, because once it gets into your brain, it's hard to get out. And I think I read somewhere or heard somewhere that Brett's seeing a sports psychologist, which good, but it's obviously he's having trouble working through something right now. And you want to see him get through it. You really do. But like I said, I have nightmares of being Legioed in the Grey Cup this year. And I
expect Labor Day to be close. It should be a close game when you look at how these two teams have played each other over the last, number of Labor Day games, plus, in the playoffs. If it comes down to a kick, you can't trot him out there. There's no confidence whatsoever in himself that he's going to make that kick. let alone the 33,000 other people sitting in the stands. They know he's going to miss it. So this is your chance. No, this also is another discussion. We were going to do this in the preview part, but we'll do it right now since we're talking about it. Let's just assume right now they do make the switch to Campbell Fair. How much leash does he get? Does he get the same leeway that Brett Lauther does?
Oh, he gets less.
No,
Because if he misses a kick,
not.
one kick, let's say he goes 2 for 3, misses a 35-yarder, something like that. People are going to rip him to shreds.
He goes 2 for 3. He goes 2 for 3 when we lose by 2. He's being released the next day.
So why isn't Brett Lauther being released?
Oh, I
Because
agree.
he's Brett Lauther.
He's Brett Lauther. He's Brett effing Lauther. That's why.
Because if you ask people, he has earned the right to kick out of his funk. And he did. He has earned that right. But
I talked about that earlier this year. He absolutely did. And it didn't happen.
That's the thing, is he earned the right to work out of it. But it has now been long past that stage where he is, whether he's going to work his way out of it or not. It's clear he's not. And until he does, he's got to sit. And how do you prove it? But you can't rely on him.
In the infamous, I can't even say that. In the infamous words, dig up, stupid. Like,
I just don't know how you can continue with him. But what's the answer if Campbell Fair misses a kick? Because he should get the same kind of leeway. That's only fair, right?
legitimately the best thing to happen, and I don't want to wish injury upon anyone, is Lauther to like pull something, Campbell Fair go in, and Lauther can work his way back. That's the best thing that can happen for everybody. They save face. Brett's out hurt. They have to use Fair, so he's got a little wiggle room to play, and then hopefully Brett can get his head right. If he's physically hurting or something, I don't know what's wrong with him. Beside, it's all mental at this point.
And I don't think there's a single person in Ridernation that doesn't hope he works his way out of it. He is that kind of guy that we all want to see him lifting the Grey Cup in Winnipeg at the end of the year as a member of the Riders. Let me add that part just in case.
I guarantee you no one's going to trade for him.
Oh,
no one's picking him up and putting him on their active roster.
At this point, not a chance. But we all want to see him get there. But we also have to look at team first, and he's hurting the team.
Like I said, if it was just like one game or two games where this has happened, fine. But 7 games where you're missing kicks out of 10, sorry, you got to sit. You have to sit him right now. What kind of message does this show to the team if you let him keep missing kicks? Like, you just can't be doing that if you're Coach Mays. Like, I'm not suggesting that everybody gets benched for one mistake. Obviously, that happens in football. We've seen it happen. It's going to happen. It's a learning experience. But when it's constant, like I said, if you see a DB, if you see a receiver drop 35% of the throws his way that hit him right in the hands, he's not making it past game 2 or 3.
Yeah, but guys, Lauther's leading the league in singles.
Woo! Didn't John Ryan?
John Ryan can talk about that.
Yeah. The John Ryan Award.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. He's got 6. The next one, Hiralahu, got 2.
Well, it's time. You got to move on from him. Bench him. Put Fair in there. Give Fair a couple games. If he sucks, bring somebody else in. I like, because once you do move on from Lauther, if they were to go away from Lauther, I don't think he can go back to him unless it is an injury situation. But if it's just because he's missing and the next guy comes in 2 games and misses 2 or 3 kicks, you got to bring in somebody else at that point. You can't go back to Lauther. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the next couple of days. We should hopefully get an answer of who's going to be the kicker, but I wouldn't be surprised if they drag that out until Saturday afternoon when the depth charts come out. So
no, 100%.
Anyway, more on the upcoming game in a little bit. Just some other Rider news. Looking at NFL cuts because everybody's talking. Oh, when are we going to get a Joe back? And when is everybody coming back? Well, a Joe, Kyle Hergel, and City So were all released or put on waivers from their respective NFL clubs. So a Joe waived by the Colts probably has the best chance out of any of these players to show up to the Riders this year. So if he can come back, all of a sudden you get MLS back in a couple weeks, hopefully, potentially Kean Schaefer-Baker. All of a sudden you can go back to starting 3 Canadian receivers, and you have some really, really good talent coming back in for the final stretch of the year.
And maybe then easily add an American kicker.
It's possible. They'd have the ratio to do it then.
Yeah.
That combined with Thomas Bertrand Houdon coming back, the options this roster would have. Now you mentioned
American punter and American kicker,
right? You know what? I would not touch Joe Couch right now. He has been much improved over the early part of the season. But I will say about City So, do we really want a guy who couldn't make the current iteration of the New England Patriots?
Now.
That'd be like wanting.
How bad do you have to be cut by the current Patriots?
That'd be like wanting your team to have Elgersma as your quarterback or something.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, City So offensive lineman, 2023 6th-round draft pick. Won't see him this year, but hey, maybe that's a potential next year, 2 years if things don't work out his way in the NFL. And then Kyle Hergel, he was the 1st-round draft pick this year, last year. Was with the Saints. Saints bringing in brand new coaching staff, and he wasn't their guy. So they've traded for O-linemen. They've signed more O-linemen, which is not good for Kyle Hergel. But you can bet he's going to absolutely exhaust all options in the NFL over the next couple of weeks at least before even thinking about, hey, I wonder if the CFL could be an option. So
he'll be training camp at the earliest next year. Yeah. I don't see them bringing him in, signing him to the roster just to have him on the PR. But then again, weird things have happened.
Well, if you toss him on a PR, can you not snatch a draft pick off the PR? There's probably 7 or 8 teams that would instantly grab him if he's on the Riders practice roster.
Yeah, as long as you put him on your active roster.
Yeah. If they sign him, you have to put him on the active roster.
Yes.
Yeah. If they had just released him, I wouldn't get excited about his return. But then they immediately traded for another offensive lineman the same day. So even a practice roster spot's looking a little iffy for Kyle Hergel. And we all kind of questioned that pick last year, if I remember correctly, because he did have his NFL shot. Was he a draft pick last year, or was he a UDFA?
Mm-hmm.
No. He was drafted. Was he drafted in the NFL? Yeah. So we all thought this was a 3-4 year Ryan Hunter type situation, and instead you have the potential of getting him this year, early next year. If that happens, that's an absolute win for O'Day.
No, he was undrafted in the NFL.
UDFA.
Yeah.
Even so, there was a lot of talk that he was going into the right spot and he was getting playing time. So, because he was on the active roster for the Saints last year, if I remember correctly, wasn't he? Like on the game day roster for a handful of games. So clearly they saw something in him. But would love to see him up here. He would help that ratio that got, or the O line that got decimated by injuries early on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was elevated week 4, and then he was put back on the PR in November.
Wow.
Then he was activated again and then waived in December.
So be interesting to see what happens with some of these Canadian draft picks, just with the NFL cuts coming in, and we'll see what happens over the next number of weeks and months here to end the CFL season. But that's the opening kickoff presented by Kathy Festian of Royal LePage Next Level. Before we get to looking at the Bomber game coming up, we got to get to Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tech experience. Greg stumped us last week with Johnny Quinn, who you could have given me. I mean, you probably could have said he was a 2009, 2010 receiver, and I probably wouldn't have gotten it. So that to me, that's a 5 Vanstone. Where does this one rank on the list for you, Greg?
2 or 3.
Oh, good. I need get my mojo back.
I'm not even naming his college because I think it's too easy if I name his college. I think. I don't know.
Unless it's Hofstra or the Colorado School of Mines.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's remember that guy.
Has called Cincinnati, London, Washington, Dusseldorf, Seattle, Edmonton, Toronto, and Ottawa home. Has 143 tackles, 3 interceptions, and a fumble recovery in the NFL. He's a Grey Cup champion. He's a 2-time rider.
Is it Kerry Joseph?
It
No.
is Kerry Joseph.
That makes sense with Labor Day coming up.
I was really hoping to get to question 5 because I thought I was really going to screw you guys up. He has 134 interceptions after I said he had 3 interceptions. In the CFL All-Star and Most Outstanding Player, and 2007 Labor Day, that quarterback draw.
Kerry Joseph. Of course, we're always going to remember that 2007 Labor Day game. First off, what a great person Kerry Joseph is.
Awesome.
Unbelievably nice guy. That whole 2007 season, the MOP season that he had, even into the playoffs. I know he didn't have, the greatest stats, but starting that West semifinal with that touchdown pass to DJ Flick was just unreal. And still, Roy Shivers gets into the Plaza. He gets into the CFL Hall of Fame or the Canadian Football Hall of Fame just for that trade to get him here, because that also came with Darian Durant on the neg list.
Yeah.
I can still hear the crowd from that DJ Flick touchdown against Calgary. That may have been the loudest outside of Grey Cup in 2013 that I remember Mosaic Stadium, Taylor Field ever being. Oh, that was a fun game.
The 2007 Labor Day game. I went with a Bomber fan, so there was 6 of us. So there's us Rider fans and a guy in one of those ugly gold Bomber jerseys. I hated those things. He was sitting in front of me because we did the 3-and-3. And when Kerry took off, we all stood up and my beer went all over him. He thought I did it on purpose too. And I'm like, no. But yeah,
Saw that whole opening. Section 27, row 34, seat 7. You can see as soon as that snap was taken, he takes the 2 steps back before the draw, and you could see before he even hit the line of scrimmage, hands in the air. We knew you could see how wide open that was. The receivers cleared it all out, and just a magical moment. And I know a lot of people will look back to that season and say that play was the catalyst to, propelling the team to a Grey Cup victory. I'd say it was even earlier when he threw a touchdown pass to Henri Childs. I'm still waiting for it to show up on Remember That Guy here. But yeah, Kerry Joseph is just synonymous with that 07 Labor Day game. And especially people of our generation are going to, that's the one that sticks out probably the most, is that 07 Labor Day game. Because, the Bombers both teams were 7-1 at that point, right? Or 7-2?
7-2, yeah.
Yeah. So, we were already talking then that's a possible Grey Cup matchup. And, sure enough, it was.
I had to laugh, though, because if you go back and watch the highlights of that game and that run, Joseph comes through and there's nothing in that end zone. That was before the temporary seats. That was, it was just like, oh, yeah. You forget about how small and intimate the old girl used to be, when that was, wide open.
You know what I remember most from that 2007 Labor Day game? It was being 3 numbers away from the 50-50 draw. And that was when they had the Ripper tickets. So it was right by me. It was over $200,000 that day.
You could have bought yourself a good laptop. That would have solved a lot of problems for you today.
Oh,
actually, chances are the laptop he bought probably is from 2007. That's the issues that he's having today.
Don't waste money on my tech here. We need a Best Buy as a sponsor.
Yeah, never forget that that 07 touchdown run, and that's where we're gonna go next, actually. So that's Remember That Guy, sponsored by District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience. Onto the Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones, and I wanted to ask you guys, with Labor Day coming up, and I know everyone's gonna say 2007. Besides that 2007 game, what is your favorite Labor Day memory or game?
Easy.
Riders Bombers.
The 52-0 absolute
Damn it, that was my
ass kicking
answer.
of the Blue Bombers. And what makes me the most angry is I wasn't there.
What?
That is one of the only games I have missed in the last like 20 years, and I can't remember why I wasn't at that game. There was something family related, and I had to sit there and watch it. Actually, I think it was a buddy's, not the, what do you call it? Like the after a wedding, the gift opening and stuff, and I was in the wedding party, so we were all watching the.
Who gets
Oh.
married in this province on Labor Day weekend?
You get an envelope with cash in it. Come
Yeah.
on. You can open that by yourself. You don't need people around for that.
Yeah, gift
Right?
openings. Pff, come on.
But I just remember being there and watching this game and like stopping things every few minutes, be like, the Riders scored again. Riders scored again. And nobody believed me. So we don't win games like that. We've all been Rider fans long enough that we don't see 52-0 games.
Block punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, what a game.
My favorite thing about that game, but not at that game, was the following year coming in, and it was kind of just playfully trash talking with some Bomber fans.
Playfully.
The guy's like, no, seriously, it was all in good fun. And the guy looks at me, he's like, hey man, I just want to score at least 1 point this year.
Greg, do you have a favorite one besides that 07?
Steve mentioned a good one.
It's rare, but it happens.
It does happen. I don't know. Like, see, 2007 is always going to be my favorite, but it's just the Labor Day in general, because especially when the Bombers weren't that good, and it's not that they were terrible, but the rivalry was more fun. And like what I just said, like we were just talking trash, but it was fun. It wasn't the I'm trying to choose my words that I don't swear on Max. It wasn't some arrogant jerks. It wasn't like it wasn't mean spirited like it has been lately. It was all in good fun. Like, we're all here for a good time. The stands were full. It was blue and gold and green and white, and it was fun. It was a fun rivalry. Your team sucks. No, your team sucks. Let's go to the cabaret after. Like, I missed that aspect of that rivalry. It was always about what was on the field and not the extracurricular stuff after. That was always safe for Calgary for some reason. I remember more fights and stands against Calgary than I do against the
Bombers. As you're saying this, I'm trying to look back at some old photos.
There's another really big one, and
Okay.
I'm surprised it took the Rocky Butler game.
I was gonna say,
Come on, 2002.
I wasn't there for that one. That was a game on TV because I didn't start going to games until 2003 was when I got my first season tickets.
I'll never forget
I
when
was at that one for sure.
the 99 Labor Day. I had to laugh. So a bunch of us was 4 guys moving up from Mooseman. I went to one Rider game in my life before that, and we're like, oh, the Riders are playing tomorrow. I wonder if we can get tickets. 4 tickets. Right on the rail. I'm like, all right. Like, it wasn't that hard to get tickets back then. It was awesome.
You can thank 2007 for the inability to get tickets for a while.
Yeah, no kidding.
I am going to say mine, and it's not a game itself, because there's been so many great ones, but this is a memory I'll always have for what happened before the game. And I'm going to go back to 2007, and you guys are going to avert your eyes because I'm going to bring this picture up here.
Is this the bikini pic?
But it was, there we go. Me in the clamshell bra with my buddy Morgan painted painting our bodies how he used to go to every game. But that was the first time I got to meet George Reed. So that was an unbelievable moment. So that to me, that's going to be it. Yeah, and it changes the filter on. There we go.
Best part about that last filter is you can only see half my face. It's a win for everybody.
So yeah, for me, I'll always remember 2007. Obviously, the Kerry Joseph, but also the first time I got to meet George Reed. So that was pretty awesome. And he signed Morgan's back too, because Morgan had the Reed across his back, and it wasn't sunburned into his body like Wes Cates' name was into yours, Steve. But
that was awful. Sunscreen on a 40-degree day, probably a good idea. Might have been a few bus whiskeys that led to that one. Whew. Don't go on bus trips with Norm.
Well, too late. We're already going on another one upcoming in a couple weeks. All right. Other thing on the Churchill Brewing Company odds and end zones, really quickly, Nick Arbuckle. We had this talk about Bo Levi Mitchell last year when his team was awful, but he was putting up stats. Should he be in the conversation for MOP? And are we giving him enough credit for what he's doing, stats wise this year?
No, or yes, we're giving him enough credit. They don't run the ball ever. Of course, he's going to put up a lot of stats. He's literally their only offensive weapon. Like, it's a lot more impressive when there's a mix of pass and run, and he's not just getting 50 bombs a day. What Bo Levi did last year on a terrible Hamilton team was far more impressive than what Nick Arbuckle is doing on an equally terrible Toronto team this year.
Yeah, same thing. He's on pace for about the same amount of yards.
Arbuckle only threw it 34 times last game. Landed 27.
How many times did they run the
ball? 26 times.
25 times. That's rare for them. And looking back, there's a reason why you don't pick a Toronto Argonaut as a running back in fantasy. I haven't picked one this year because they don't run the ball more than.
I couldn't tell you Spencer Brown was their main back. I couldn't tell you that. Couldn't tell you.
It's McMahon got hurt.
Yeah,
partway into that game. He is their starter if they ever had one.
Yeah,
I just don't see what he's doing. When you see teams that actually mix it a little bit more than he is, and maybe they will going forwards because clearly it worked this week. They start mixing it up a little bit. Maybe we'll see it. Maybe I can give him a little love for it. But when you're 90% past, the yards are going to happen.
Yeah, the game before they only had 13 runs.
Yeah, and that's probably more on par with what they've done all season.
And 7 of those were Arbuckle.
I think he's their leading rusher too, is what they said on the broadcast. Yeah,
he is.
I think it's more
That's
impressive.
The most impressive part.
I think it's more impressive than Bo Levi Mitchell last year because Arbuckle, he's a backup. Went into the season as the backup.
He's QB1.
I know he's QB1, but he's not looked at that way. He's still, Chad Kelly's their guy still.
Can you really look at that way?
Might not.
Can you really look at a guy that way when he started the Grey Cup the year before and won it?
Well,
and was the Grey Cup MVP, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know.
You saying he's the franchise guy there?
Oh God, no. Well, he might be going forwards. Who knows what's happening with Chad Kelly. Long may he be away from the game of football.
But this is also a guy that's never been that top tier talent. Bo Levi Mitchell, since his first game in the league, has been until the end of his time in Calgary, was top tier quarterback talent.
At one point, they thought Arbuckle was I'll never forget when Arbuckle left Calgary. Yeah, everyone beats us.
Back a quarterback hasn't.
Spurgeon Wynn
that name is banned from this show.
Yeah, but remove him from the stage. Hang on here.
But yeah, Arbuckle was supposed to be, because that entire Calgary quarterback tree, everyone that came out of Calgary was going to be a starter in this league. So unfortunately, it's shown Arbuckle, Jake Mayer,
Just like once a rider, Drew Tate.
Yeah.
What year was that? 2018 that he was the emergency or backup quarterback? Or was it 2019 when Jardo was hurt?
Holder?
I don't remember. But yeah,
Was
anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough about them. To hell with the Calgary Stampeders quarterbacks.
2018, by the way.
2018? Yeah.
But he was also a rider in 2007 and 2008.
Yes, he was. That's where he started, I think.
Yeah.
Regina Thunder. Greg,
Yeah.
last week, absolutely destroyed the Edmonton Huskies. What was it, 57-7?
7, and that 7 was a penalty-assisted drive to get them close enough where their quarterback got flushed out of the pocket and got to the goal line. So,
How many rushing yards did their starter have this game?
actually, it was an even split. Borsch and Carter Ashman basically had an even split at 117. Well, 117 for Ashman, 116 for Borsch. Plus, we got down to a couple of the rookies got time to play in the fourth quarter too. So you had Ben Singh and I'm drawing a blank, but yeah, you had 2 young kids getting their first CJFL action this past weekend as well. So. No, the team looks good. Problem is the big test is not this week, obviously, because they're on a bye week.
Mm-hmm.
Next week versus the Hilltops, because the Hilltops have been taking their anger out on everybody since they lost to the Rifles.
Yeah.
So they got their revenge game back on the Rifles last week. So should be interesting.
Heck of a home opener, though.
Only team winless right now is the Wildcats, I believe. So. Or sorry, the Huskies are winless.
Yeah,
the Wildcats
the Huskies.
win. Huskies beat the Wildcats beat the Colts,
Copper.
and the Colts beat the
right. Sorry, yeah.
So,
well, great home opener for the Regina Thunder, and the next game. I know it's the bye week this week, but the next week against Saskatoon, that's in Regina.
In Regina at Mosaic Stadium, Saturday night game, not Sunday. So,
The Banjo Bowl day,
yes,
right?
Banjo Bowl day. It's always a tough for me to choose which one to go to.
One has the Red Barn.
One does have the Red Barn, although I did get Red Barn really recently. So,
Jealous.
No, it's
not at all angry.
Can one have too much Red Barn? You got to be like Ferlin and pack a Tupperware container.
Yeah, I did that last year. I'm doing it again. It's on my list of things to bring for the Banjo Bowl. I have a Google Doc. It's just there. It's not getting deleted.
Just Tupperware.
Yeah, Tupperware for chicken. That's what it says.
Fantastic. Ferlin's greatest achievement.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Okay, well, let's look ahead to the Labor Day Classic, the Goth, the 60th Labor Day Classic. I didn't have enough goth clothing. I don't have enough black. I thought about like eyeliner and everything too for the episode. I thought that would have been really funny, but I'm also lazy. So, but anyway, the game preview presented by Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas. Riders Bombers Sunday, 5:00. Do you guys like these 5:00 Labor Day games? Gets everybody in the province pretty primed up. A few of these guys before, or do you like the earlier afternoon games?
I like the early after or the evening games. My liver likes the early afternoon games. That's these games get out of hand with a 2:00 kickoff. It's gonna be an absolute gong show by 5:00.
As I've gotten older and I've taken my kids to these games, I don't do that per se anymore. So to me, it doesn't matter either way because usually it's as long as it stays relatively sane, and typically my season ticket group around me is pretty good, so it's not that bad.
I'd rather have the earlier game. I got a fantasy draft that after the game, like at 9:00, so that game better be quick. It's a big money league too. But for the Riders in this one, got to talk injuries. What's going to happen? So going to assume, and again, this is before any days of practice have happened, so this could all change tomorrow morning for all we know. Nelson Lacombo didn't look good for him last week. He was on crutches in the second half on the sidelines. Corey May said he was in a walking boot post game. Just based off that, I'm going to assume that he's not playing this week, which would mean another week for Jackson Ford at safety. But hopefully with Marcus Sales back, we're not looking at Kerfala Exume as a starter in this one. So, I mean, losing a Canadian starter, no matter what position they play, is really tough. But I guess gaining Marcus Sales back for this one obviously is a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest thing is we can't go down 2 DBs in the game. So if Lacombo is out, at least you have the option of both Ford and Dalkey to rotate through safety. And yeah, as long as Sales is in, we should be okay.
The absolute key here is Marcus Sales. If he's healthy, I am confident with Jackson Ford back there. I think another game under his belt and a game with Zach Caleros throwing the ball could be interesting for him. We've seen a lot of bad Zach this year. Of course, he usually brings out good Zach when it's against the Riders because it's what he does. But he doesn't have Kenny Lawler, so I don't know which Zach we're going to get.
But also you got to think the Bombers are kind of decimated on the receiving core right now, considering they just brought in Swerve. They just brought in Eccles. Like they are grasping at straws trying to get enough receivers to play.
Chris
right now.
Drevler was playing receiver for them last week.
So this is their own fault. They only dressed 6 receivers total, and they lost 2. And I understand you don't expect to go through the game with a lot of injuries, but why are you only dressing 6 receivers? Like, that's ridiculous.
When that's your 7th guy up, that says a lot about your current roster depth. And you know what? He did enough as the 5th guy.
I mean,
I can't even knock that
a bunch.
Yeah. And honestly, as a blocking receiver, not a bad option out there.
You know, honestly, and kudos to him for stepping up and doing that role. Like, I mean, Taysom Hill in the NFL gets a lot of praise for all the different things that he can do. You got a guy that can jump in there and start blocking like that. And they did throw a pass to him, but it was there was a penalty or something on the play, so he didn't actually get a catch, which sucked. I was really hoping I had that. You know the video, Steve. I had that ready to go last week during that game to play for you. I'm not going to play it now. Greg can, but I'm not going.
We haven't heard it. We haven't said his name 3 times, and I refuse.
Chris Drevler. Say his name, man.
Say his name and he appears. Steve believes in Chris Drevy. Steve believes in Chris Drevy. Cause they love him in London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland and Canada.
And Mexico.
Steve believes in...
I even said something nice about him. He just couldn't let that happen. He just had to.
That's why he thanks you for your support and being a big fan of him. But
on today of all days, when pumpkin spice drinks come out in goddamn August, you just had to poke that needle a little bit more.
You love them. First day in Toronto last year, Steve, you had one. You had a pumpkin spice frap.
I did. I was trying to be nice. I was trying to say I'm going to end the war, and people brought it right back this year. So to hell with it, I'm going to war again.
I don't care. You loved that drink last year.
I have no issues with pumpkin spice as a flavor. My issue is pumpkin spice in August. It's a fall beverage. Can I start drinking eggnog right now?
Go ahead.
Let's move on before I get
I
real.
won't say what I feel about eggnog. This is a family show.
Don't tell Twitter you don't like eggnog.
Oh, I'll tell him right now. I'll tell him exactly what it is, but I won't say it on the show. Anyway, looking at the Riders roster. So, yes, Greg, you did mention hurting at receivers. Kyron Moore signing with them. Nick Dembski, he's a question mark for the Bombers. Jareth Stearns is going to be out. They put him on the 1-game list, although they were talking how it might be a multi-week injury, shoulder injury. But they do get Dalton Schoen back for this one. That was always kind of the plan, was to have him ready for Labor Day. And sure enough, look, he was running with the ones in their practice. So it looks like
with
Dalton
a giant
Schoen will be
brace
back.
on.
Yeah.
So you got to think his speed and mobility isn't what it usually is, because from the pictures, that's a massive brace he's still wearing.
So when you look at the Bombers receivers in our secondary, assuming that Marcus Sales is back, Jackson Ford obviously starting probably. I like it a little bit better just for their injury situation versus ours. So that's good. But then you have the Brady Oliveira problem. And last week, the Bombers actually used him the whole game. They actually went with the full bully ball. And sure enough, it worked for them. So if you're the Riders, how much do you focus on taking the one guy away? Do you have Jameer Thurman spy on him a good portion of the game? Because the Riders don't seem to play that way on defense. They tend to run their typical zone defense. And I mean, I would have keyed in on Dedrick Mills out of the backfield last week. They didn't do that. But Brady Oliveira, I think the key is absolutely slowing him down. I don't think they're going to completely stop him, but I think it's not so much in the run game. I think it's those short passes when Zach's, feeling some pressure. He's good at finding Brady Oliveira in the checkdowns. And if you can limit those and keep him under the, 40 yards receiving, that's going to be a big key for the Riders in this one.
The biggest question I have is how much of Brady Oliveira's full 4-quarter action last week was forced on them by script, losing 2 starting receivers. Not all of a sudden, he's all you got. When you're literally running Chris Strevler out there as a receiver, your options are limited.
Montreal couldn't stop it, though. I could tell you every single play was going to go to Brady Oliveira. It did, and they still couldn't stop him.
In fairness, Montreal can't stop anybody. They've been god-awful this year to begin with. Their season will live and die with the return of Davis Alexander, but that's a conversation for a few weeks from now. The key to this game is absolutely 2 things: Brady Oliveira and pressuring Zach Caleros. Because we've seen when Zach gets ruffled, he is bad. And you get in his face and limit those checkdowns, like you said, and you force him into mistakes. And this team has been very good at capitalizing on mistakes. So make Zach make them, and it leads to good things.
And the thing is, though, those mistakes, his relief valve usually was Dembski. And this year, Stearns was becoming that too. So he's going to be quite possibly without his security blanket. So he's going to have guys that he doesn't trust. So, yeah, you can key off on your Oliveras. And obviously, there's going to be some familiarity there. But once again, he's coming back from a major injury first game in. So who knows what he's actually going to show. So this is where the Riders have a good shot of picking apart that Bombers offense pretty easily.
On the flip side, Sean Bain Jr., is there a chance to get him back on the roster? He tweeted out something, I don't want to say cryptic. That's not necessarily the right word, but gave me that feel that, hey, he might have got pulled into the, the coach's room and, hey, you're back in this week. So is it possible we see Sean Bain in for Joe Robustelli, especially with Dre McCray? I mean, the hit that he took last week, Dre McCray, he got popped. He fumbled the ball. And we were already talking about how he shouldn't see another game because he's been fumbling. Give him the benefit of the doubt on that hit last week because he took the helmet to helmet, which was uncalled, and he just got smoked. So concussion protocol for him. Good way to possibly have Dante Myers not take kicks is, obviously if Mario Alford's good to go, you bring him on. But maybe have Bain in for Robustelli, and there's another potential returner, something else that Robustelli can't do that Bain can.
At this point, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I wouldn't hate it. Robustelli, outside of his big 200-yard game, he hasn't been invisible, but he hasn't been the guy that you sit or that you play over top of a Sean Bain Jr. We know what what
Been
he
that
can
fifth
do.
receiver on the outside.
Yeah, and absolutely, and you need that, and he's the guy that can make those tough catches. We've seen a few of them this year already, the ridiculous circus catches, and those are great, and those are electric. They're fun to watch, but having the consistency of a Sean Bain Jr. in there can only do good things for this offense, and especially against a team like the Blue Bombers, having a guy that's you're comfortable with in there can only help. So I think that would be a good move.
And as good as Robustelli was, yes, he had that 200-yard game, like you said. I think Tommy Neal is shown to be just as good and with a better passport. So, yeah, if you had to take somebody out to put Bain Jr. in, obviously Robustelli is where you're going with it.
And the familiarity with Trevor Harris. Look at the start of last season. Harris was peppering Bain with targets. Bain obviously struggled with some drops last year, but the confidence from Harris in Bain is there, and it's a vet. And with the way that this team is constructed, they like their veterans. And if he's good to go, I think that's the guy. So I really hope that Bain is in for this one. I'm a big Sean Bain guy. I really like that signing when he came over from Calgary a couple of years ago. And I mean, nothing against Joe Robustelli, solid receiver. You need those pieces like him, the role players, but Bain just brings that little extra can play in the slot as well too, that we haven't really seen from Robustelli yet. So I just think there's more options that they can do with this offense with Sean Bain in there, and just let Trevor Harris do his thing. And maybe we'll see some more production out of that spot. Who knows? But it should be, I mean, it's Labor Day. It should be a pretty good one. So with that in mind, let's make our picks for the week. It's time for Piffles Picks.
Piffles Picks.
Well, folks, when you're right 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
That was our average last week. We were all 50-50, 50%. This week, only the 3 games. And is that something that the CFL is missing out on? Should they have Ottawa, Montreal on Labor Day weekend playing on the Friday or something?
Absolutely. Have an extra rivalry game, and that is it. That Ottawa traveling to Montreal, they put those buses together. That's a damn fun place for an extra game on Labor Day weekend. Make it happen.
And Friday Night Football is TSN's bread and butter when it comes to the league. The fact that it'd be like not having a Monday nighter or a Sunday nighter in the NFL. It is so weird to, like, people are habits a ritual viewers. Like they it's a habit to sit down and watch Sunday Night Football or watch the Monday nighter. Like, so there's gonna be people that probably don't realize there's not a game Friday going, how come there's no game on this week? Like,
it's the biggest week of the regular season for the CFL. They should have at least the 8 teams playing. Yeah. So I would like to see it as well.
It's like, I don't understand. What's the point of having a bye week this week and then a full slate next week?
Yeah, have the bye week next week.
Yeah, like, it makes no sense. And especially because they're not doing that stupid triple header again next week, are they?
Sure are.
See, this should be the 3. This should be next week. Should be the bye week. That is ridiculous.
Just have the 2 games on the Saturday then.
Yeah, like, it should be a Friday and a double header. That 3-game slog is not good for anybody.
And I'd love it if the Rider game was later into the evening at the Banjo Bowl. Saturday morning would be real nice to not be at 3 a.m. when we used to leave.
Well, and they could do that if that was a double header. They wouldn't have to start at 11, 2, and 5. Like, they could, like, split that a little better.
I mean, they can keep the triple header on the Saturday, but have the Edmonton Calgary game, which is always the last game, have that the middle game, because that's just a two and a bit hour drive for fans to make it. You got Regina to Winnipeg. Give them the later game. Makes it a little bit easier anyway. But anyway, Labor Day weekend starts off Winnipeg at Saskatchewan. Steve, do you want to take a guess on what the spread is in this one?
I'll go Riders 4.5.
I'll say Riders 1.5.
Riders started off at 6. It has now moved to 5.5.
Wow.
Whoa.
I would not have expected that. But
Wow.
again, we are 8-2. We're 8-0 against teams not named the Calgary Stampeders. So
I like this. I can't take credit for this, but I saw this. I think it was on Rider Fans, or maybe it was on Facebook. Oh, it was on Facebook, actually. This is the battle of the CBC. They can't beat Calgary. I thought that was pretty clever. So kudos to random person, anonymous user 5785342 on Facebook for their comment. It made me laugh. Wow, 6 points. I'm going to take the
6
Bombers.
points with a 51.5 total.
Oh, give me the under. I don't know why. I'm going to take Winnipeg to cover. I think the Riders win, but I think it's 4 or 5 points.
Riders.
Going with the
Give me
coin.
Sasky. Always. Coin's been far better than I've ever been.
Greg?
I'm going with the coin. I'm following the coin on this one. I think
You guys are right.
you look at what happened after that Calgary game. I think they're going to come locked in. So
Second game, Toronto at Hamilton. I'll guess that it's Hamilton by, we'll go 5.5.
although it's been bet down to 4,
Yee.
so money's coming in on Toronto.
Sorry, it was 5.5?
It was 5.5. Started at 5.5. It's now at 4. So people are liking what Nick Arbuckle did last week.
Regardless of what Arbuckle did last week, I actually like Toronto in this game. I think they win outright, to be honest.
Wow.
I just have a weird feeling about it. It's Labor Day. Anything could happen.
Hamilton.
It's also the total's 56.5, by the way.
Have you seen those defenses?
They're looking for a high scoring game. I think the over is a safe one on that one, even at 56.
It's gonna be 13-12.
Yeah, probably. It's hard for me to. I gotta take the Ticats. I don't trust Arbuckle. I can't take Garfield's owner. Never take Garfield's owner against a cat.
And the final game, Edmonton on a 3-game win streak with Cody Fajardo against the Calgary Stampeders. Steve, take a guess.
This one should be closer, but I'm going to guess Calgary by 4.5.
Calgary 5.5.
Calgary 7.5, and it's actually going up. It's now 8.
Well, even without thinking that, I think Edmonton does us a solid. I really do.
I'm
on Edmonton,
covering
especially
that.
at 7.5.
I'm taking Edmonton to cover. I don't know if they win, but they definitely cover that.
Calgary going home across the board. I got a chance to either completely fall out of contention or make 3 games up on Alex. This could be fun.
And you would still be 5 games back if you did.
Hey, where was I before I started using the
4
coin?
You were 8 games back, I think. So yeah,
Yeah, at one point.
you've gained a game.
And the total is at 52.5. So this one is
I'm taking the over on that one.
Okay. Well, Labor Day weekend, always a fun one in the CFL. We'll be back next week to talk about the 60th Goth Labor Day Classic, and we'll talk about how it goes. Until then, we'll leave it there. Piffles Podcast, brought to you by our great friends at Dairy Queen on Elphinstone Street and Sass Drive in Regina. Special thanks, of course, to Kathy Festian of Roy LePage Next Level, Churchill Brewing Company, District 306, Regina's tactical laser tag experience, Bigfoot Vodka, and Creasy's Premium Home Leisure Jacuzzi Spas for their support, making everything possible. Thanks for listening wherever you get your pods. Thanks for watching on YouTube or SaskTel Max TV on demand. Go Riders. This is Ghost Behind Your Mind.
big supporter and fan of the CFL and myself personally.